The subway was unusually packed that Friday evening. Office workers in suits, tired students with backpacks, mothers holding children by the hand. Everyone was crammed into the train like sardines. The rattle of wheels against the tracks and the occasional announcement over the intercom filled the air. Among them was Daniel Carter, a single father in his early 30s. His clothes were worn but neat, his hands bore the calluses of a man who worked hard to provide for his daughter. Sitting beside him was Lily, a bright-eyed 9-year-old clutching her sketchbook. She was drawing little flowers, humming softly, unaware of the storm about to strike. At the other end of the carriage sat Richard Hale, a billionaire CEO known for his ruthless business deals. His tailored suit and diamond watch screamed power. People recognized him instantly, some with admiration, others with resentment. Hale was a man who didn't believe in kindness, he believed in control. Suddenly, the calm was shattered. A man in a hooded jacket stood up in the middle of the train, brandishing a knife. His eyes were wild, his movements jittery. Panic spread instantly, gasps, screams, people ducking for cover. The hooded man lunged forward and grabbed the nearest person. To everyone's shock, he dragged Richard Hale to his feet, pressing the blade against the billionaire's neck. "Don't move or he dies," the man shouted, his voice echoing in the carriage. Fear froze the passengers. Mothers shielded their children, men raised their hands, and people whispered frantically into their phones, hoping to call for help before the train entered the next tunnel. The CEO, usually arrogant and untouchable, was now pale. His body stiffened, his chest heaving as the knife glinted dangerously close to his throat. For once, Richard Hale had no control. Daniel instinctively pulled Lily close, shielding her with his arm. She looked up at him, confused but trusting. His heart pounded, fight or flight. Every father's instinct screamed to protect his child. But as Daniel's eyes scanned the scene, he saw the trembling hands of the attacker. This wasn't just a criminal, it was a desperate, broken man. "Everyone sit down," the attacker barked. "Nobody moves until we stop at the next station. I swear, I'll kill him." Passengers obeyed. Fear hung thick in the air. Richard Hale struggled to keep his composure, his pride battling with his terror. Do you know who I am?" he hissed through gritted teeth. "I don't care who you are," the man snarled. "Your money means nothing now. Tonight, you'll feel what it's like to be powerless." The billionaire swallowed hard. He had spent his life commanding boardrooms and bending competitors to his will, but a simple blade had reduced him to trembling silence. That was when Daniel made a choice. He gently stroked Lily's hair and whispered, "Stay here, sweetheart. Don't be afraid." She clutched his sleeve, her eyes wide with worry, but she nodded. Slowly, Daniel stood up. "Hey," he said softly, raising his hands. "Take it easy. No one wants to get hurt." The attacker's eyes darted toward him. "Sit down, or he dies." Daniel's voice stayed calm, steady, almost soothing. "Look, I'm just a dad. I'm not here to fight you. But I can see your hands shaking. I know you don't want to do this." The man's grip faltered for a moment, his breathing ragged. His eyes flickered with something: fear, guilt, pain. "What do you know about me?" he spat. Daniel took a small step closer. The entire carriage held its breath. "I know what it feels like to be desperate," Daniel said. "I know what it's like to feel like the world's against you. To think nobody cares." His voice lowered, almost a whisper. "But hurting him won't fix your pain. It'll only add to it." The attacker's eyes shimmered with unshed tears. His arm trembled. The billionaire was too shocked to speak. No one had ever dared talk to his captor like this. Daniel continued gently, "What happened? Did you lose your job? Your family?" The man's lips quivered. His story burst out between sobs. "They fired me last month. My little girl's sick, hospital bills keep piling up. Nobody helps, nobody cares. I begged for an extension, but they don't listen. My landlord's throwing us out tomorrow. I can't watch my daughter suffer anymore. I thought if I scared someone rich, I could make them pay." His words struck Daniel like a punch to the gut. A sick child, a desperate father, that was a pain he could understand. Daniel glanced at Lily, who watched silently from her seat. He imagined what it would feel like to be that hopeless, to have no way to protect her. "I hear you," Daniel said. "I really do. But this isn't the way. If you hurt him, you'll lose your daughter for good. She needs her dad free, not locked away." The attacker shook his head. "You don't understand." "I do," Daniel said firmly. "I'm a single dad too." The man's eyes widened. His grip loosened slightly. "You think I've never gone to bed hungry so my daughter could eat? You think I've never looked at bills I couldn't pay? Brother, I've been there. But violence isn't the answer. Your little girl doesn't need money as much as she needs you alive." The words pierced through the man's rage. His hand trembled, the knife wavering dangerously close to the CEO's throat. The passengers watched in awe as Daniel kept speaking, his voice calm, almost fatherly. Put the knife down. Let him go. And when this train stops, we'll figure something out. Richard Hale, his pride bruised, finally found his voice. This is insane. Don't listen to him. I'll pay you whatever you want. Just get this knife away from me. Daniel shot him a sharp look. Money isn't what this is about. Shut up and let me handle this. The CEO blinked, stunned that a poor man dared silence him. For the first time in his life, Richard Hale was powerless. The attacker's eyes darted between them. His chest heaved, his tears falling freely now. I just want my daughter to live. Daniel nodded slowly. Then live for her. Show her you're strong enough to fight without violence. Show her the kind of man she can be proud of. The train screeched as it neared the next station. The moment of choice had arrived. The attacker's grip faltered. With a strangled cry, he dropped the knife. It clattered onto the floor, the sound echoing like thunder in the silent carriage. He released Richard Hale, who stumbled backward, gasping. Daniel stepped forward, carefully kicking the knife out of reach. Then, with surprising gentleness, he placed a hand on the man's shoulder. You did the right thing, Daniel whispered. The attacker collapsed to his knees, sobbing. Police swarmed the carriage at the station, rushing in with weapons drawn. Passengers pointed to the attacker, but Daniel raised his hand. Wait, he said firmly. He gave up. Don't hurt him. The officers restrained the man, but none missed the way Daniel spoke, calm, respectful, almost protective. The CEO stood in stunned silence, adjusting his suit, his pride wounded deeper than the shallow cut on his neck. He had expected rescue from force, from power, from negotiation. Instead, it came from a poor single father with nothing but words and compassion. As Daniel walked back to Lily, who threw her arms around him, Richard Hale called out. Daniel turned, his daughter clinging to his side. You could have been killed, the CEO said, his voice hoarse. Why would you risk that, for me? Daniel's answer was simple, because my daughter was watching. I want her to know that courage isn't about money or power. It's about doing the right thing. The CEO's lips parted, but no words came. For the first time in decades, Richard Hale was speechless. As the attacker was led away, Daniel knelt in front of Lily. Are you okay, sweetheart? She nodded, tears glistening in her eyes. Daddy, you were so brave. He smiled softly. I just did what needed to be done. Behind them, Richard Hale watched. For years, he had believed that money was the only shield against the world. But in that subway carriage, he saw something stronger than wealth. He saw love, courage, and selflessness. Mr. Carter, he said suddenly. Daniel turned, surprised the billionaire even knew his name. I owe you my life. Daniel shook his head. You don't owe me anything. But Richard Hale's mind was already working. For the first time, not in calculation or profit, but in gratitude. Days later, Daniel returned home from his late shift at the diner. He found an envelope slipped under his door. Inside was a letter on expensive stationery. You taught me a lesson no boardroom ever could. You reminded me of what truly matters. Enclosed is my personal card. Call me anytime. Your daughter should never have to suffer for lack of opportunity, and tucked behind it a scholarship certificate in Lily's name, covering her education until college. Daniel sat down heavily, overcome with emotion. For once, he didn't feel invisible. For once, the world seemed a little kinder. Lily peeked over his shoulder, eyes wide. Daddy, does this mean I can go to art school? Daniel hugged her tightly, tears streaming down his face. Yes, sweetheart, it means you can be anything you want to be. And somewhere across the city, Richard Hale stared out of his office window, replaying the single dad's words. Sometimes, true strength isn't in wealth or status, but in courage and compassion.